I am the Nuclear Scribe, and welcome to part one of What If Izuku Was a Monoma. Start out, I'd like to, some background knowledge. The way he is related to the Monomas is through his father. His father in this timeline is Hisashi Monoma, and he is the twin brother of Nato Monoma's father. Alright, starting off, Izuku spends a lot of time with both his cousin Nato and his uncle because of his mom having to work so much and his dad being out of country all the time on business. Growing up, Nato and uh, Izuku being around Nato's father had a very strong opinion on people who had strong quirks and were very cocky about it. Like always rubbing it in other people's faces. Hey, I'm better than you because your quirk is trash. He always hated this, and he drilled it into these two boys to hate this kind of behavior. So because of this, whenever Izuku is in preschool with Bakugo, he's friends with Bakugo up until this point. He thinks he's just a cocky kid. It's no big deal. He's just confident. Well, whenever Bakugo gets his quirk for the first time, he first uses his quirk, Izuku just straight up glares at him from across the room because he immediately recognizes the look on his face from just the lessons drilled into him by his uncle. And he immediately recognizes the look on Bakugo's face as I'm better than everyone else. I'm different. Well, see, this leads to Izuku not really hanging out with Bakugo as much. He still kind of hangs out with him a little bit because he doesn't really have very many friends. He's still a very quiet kid for the most part. He's not really shy, he's just reserved. He was reserved until the incident where Bakugo and his goons are bullying a kid for being quirkless in the class. This is before Izuku has really had anything to do with his quirk. They don't know what his quirk is. They assume it's probably going to be a copy quirk because in this timeline, every male Monoma has had some kind of copy quirk. His his dad had a singular copy quirk to where he could copy one power at a time, and whenever Izuku's spouting the iconic line, if you cross this line, I am never going to forgive you. And Bakugo just looks at him like, "Are you stupid? Look at me. I'm the greatest here. What are you going to do? What do I care what you think? You probably won't even get a quirk. Whatever, even if you do, whatever it is, it's not going to be as good as me. I'm going to be the best hero." And Izuku just snaps. He immediately starts berating Bakugo with by saying, "Oh, you can't." Sorry, I have a bit of a stutter. He immediately starts berating Bakugo, saying that he's a narcissist and he'd be lucky to be a B-list hero. And he's probably, if he continues down the path he's going to end up dropping out of the hero game, whether it be from a lawsuit or getting too cocky at a fight. Well, Bakugo doesn't like this. Obviously, he's Bakugo, so he he just goes up and pushes Deku using his quirk, and and Izuku, as he's falling to the ground, his hand grazes Bakugo's hand, and Bakugo just starts pummeling Deku. Kicks him in the stomach, punches his face. His friends join in. They just start ganging up on him, and then like right when they're like pretty much done beating up on him, he he crouches down right in front of Deku and he looks him straight in the face and he says, "Apologize now, and maybe I'll still let you be one of my cronies." And get on your hands and knees and beg for forgiveness. And Deku, he been watching a lot of action movies with his uncle and his cousin. So what he does, like the classic spit blood in someone's face move. Well, whenever Izuku's hand grazed Bakugo's, his quirk activated for the first time, and he copied Bakugo's quirk, but it changed just a little bit. So whenever he spits that blood at Bakugo's face, it explodes. Now, granted, it's not enough to do permanent damage, but like he gonna have a scar, like for the rest of his life. It's not gonna be bad as Todoroki's scar, but it's gonna be pretty noticeable, and he's gonna be super touchy about it later. Well, this explosion, it knocks both Bakugo and Izuku out. And when Izuku coming to, he in a hospital bed in the hospital, obviously. Well, he looks down at his hands and he notices he got like the quirk restricting gauntlets on, and his mom notices he waking up, so she calls the doctor in. The doctor comes in. The doctor is followed by the cop in the trench coat. I can't remember his name right now, but the lie detector guy, and Eraserhead. Eraserhead's there because he just so happened to be around the corner, you know, sitting there, like just down the street. He going on his like melatonin run, trying to get to the store to get him some melatonin because he had a long night of hero duty, and he just can't sleep. But he just hear like a loud crack, like a gun that sound like a gunfire, and hero instincts kick in, and he starts bolting towards the noise. When he gets there, he just sees kids, and he calls the cops. And the detective, when he walk in there, he explained to Deku that Bakugo and the other kids, they all claimed that Izuku had started the fight, and that this was all Izuku's fault. And well, Izuku, he's just sitting there looking devastated because he knows that there's pretty much nothing he can do to change this guy's mind. But the detective sees a look on his face and he just starts to laugh a little bit. He's like, "Come on, kid. What do you take me for, an idiot? I'm not going to believe a blatant lie like that." Not only were all those kids obviously lying just from their body language, but Mrs. Bakugo came up to me herself and said, "Yeah, my son probably started. I know how he is." And it's like, "Kid, you're not in any trouble. Here, let me get these cuffs off you. They were just a precaution to make sure nothing happened while you were sleeping." And the doctor's like, "Well, now that that business is out of the way, we have some very important business to discuss with you, Mr. Monoma. Well, we seem to be a loss as to what your quirk is. You created a big explosion. From what the other kids say, it came from your blood. So what we're thinking is you spit blood. You spit an explosive compound, but you spit your blood, either your saliva or your blood is an explosive compound." And then Inko cuts in and is like, "No, no, no, that doesn't sound right at all. My quirk is weak telekinesis where I can pull stuff towards me, and his dad is a copy and it has a copycat quirk, you know, and everyone in the Monoma, every male in the Monoma line has had copy quirks for generations, Doc. Like, so are you sure he didn't just like copy Bakugo's quirk? It's like, yeah, but that could be possible, but Bakugo's quirk is activated via sweat in his palms, his not his saliva or blood. And so they take Izuku to a quirk testing room that's at the hospital for like kids who are just now discovering their quirk, so they could test it for the records and stuff. And he get into the room, and they have him touch his mom's hand to see what would happen. And they send him into the room after that, and that they have him try and use his mom's quirk. It's like just his mom explained to him how she uses his, just like how she uses hers. Just imagine the telekinetic force. And well, when Deku does that, it manifests in a way to where he gets thrown across the room onto the floor. See, whenever he copied his mom's attraction quirk, it turned into a repulsion quirk. So think like force push from the Star Wars universe. It's like that, but it's like really weak at the moment. It's a lot stronger than the way his mom does. Like the kind of quirk his mom's got, but like at the moment, it's weak. It's just enough to knock a kid on his ass. And so like they're like very interesting. Well, do you think you could try and activate the quirk you used on the playground earlier today? And Izuku is like, and he tries spitting on the ground, and nothing happens. So the doctor's like, I'm sorry to ask you to do this, kid, but like, could you try and bite your lip first, as hard as you can? Just try and draw blood. And Izuku, he's had a bit of a nervous tick where he chews his lip anyway. So he's bit his lip to the point where he's bled a couple times, even at this age. Well, he bites his lip, drawing blood, and then he sucks on it for a few seconds, and then whenever he spits it on the ground, it sounds like a small caliber gunfire going off, and that also knocks him on his ass because the shockwave, not only the explosion but the noise, it startles him. He is just a kid after all. You mean you give a kid that kind of firepower, he's gonna be real confused. And after this, it's like that Izuku's complaining about how he's like really hungry, and so like they call a little break so he can go and eat a bit, and he goes and sits down with his mom in his hospital room eating the shitty hospital food, and he's like, Mom, you think with this quirk I could become a hero? And she's like, I'm sure you could, honey. I mean, even your cousin wants to be one too when he grows up. Remember? I remember your father wanted to be one when he was your age. Why couldn't Dad become a hero? Well, his quirk just wasn't versatile enough. But you and your cousin, your copy quirks are way better than your father and your uncle. Sorry, I was drinking some water. Um, and well, see what what Izuku's like. He's sitting there thinking like, my dad wanted to be a hero. Like that's like super cool. I wonder why he never ended up doing it. Besides, like just like not having a powerful enough quirk. Like Izuku knows that's bullshit. Like from the lessons that his uncle been drilling into him, like he knows like It don't matter what your quirk is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, as long as you got the work ethic, you can do anything in this world. You know. And Izuku's sitting there thinking about like different power combinations that he could do. Like, he can't exactly spit. Like, the one thing that he immediately thinks of is that he can't exactly, spit that stuff far, or like he can't like just like slit his wrist and blow up a whole area, because that's like really dangerous. I mean, obviously he gotta worry about blood loss and stuff. And excuse me. So he's just like, well, I got that push ability. So what if I try like spitting it and then like pushing it with my my other quirk, And then after dinner, they bring him back to the observation room or whatever to test one more thing. It's like, obviously the copy quirk can copy emitter and transformation types because that's what copy quirks do. But pretty much every time someone manifests a copy quirk, they automatically test for this. It's they bring a nurse that got a mutation quirk in there, right? Her mutation is she has flower petals for eyelashes, and yeah, that probably looked really weird. I wouldn't really want to look at that for too long. Just like imagine pink above your eye constantly. Yeah, that'd be annoying. And well, they have him touch her eyelashes to because that's where the quirk is used from. And he does that, and then she leave the room, go back to the observation room with Aizawa and the doctor and the mom and the detective and all that. And they say, all right, now try and manifest her mutation. And whenever he does that, his skin turned green. See, now what happened here is that the quirk it mutated into, it went from the flower petals to his skin manifesting chlorophyll. So he can sit out there and sunbathe with that, and he can replenish his stamina by being in the sun, kind of like Superman. And after that, the nurse goes back in there. She collects a skin sample, and then the doctor says, "Okay, you don't have to use that transformation anymore." And he's like, "It's really interesting that he can do copy mutation quirks like that. It's real interesting that they turn into transformation quirks." And it's like, "All right, young Monoma and Mrs. Monoma, you can go ahead and head home because this is all we needed from y'all. Young man, your quirk is amazing. Like, I ain't ever seen anything like it, and you're probably gonna go real far. You're gonna have any job you want. Really?" And he's like, "Really? Even a hero?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What's my quirk called, sir?" And he's like, "All right, yeah, it's gonna be called Copycat." And Izuku's like really happy that he got like a quirk and it's official and everything. And on their way out, Aizawa stops them and he's like, "Hey kid, you're gonna go far someday. Like, always make sure you put in the work ethic to get to where you need to go. Remember, if you decide to become a hero, you're gonna go far in the industry. Just make sure you train your body as much as you train your mind and your quirk. Because if you don't do all that, you're gonna be a crappy hero. No good hero is a one-trick pony." And also, he's sitting there telling Izuku, it's like, "All right, kid. Now, what I'm about to tell you is gonna be kind of weird, but I want you to poke me in the eye. Don't do it too hard. Just like lightly tap me in the eye." And Izuku looking at him funny. He's like, "Why would I do that?" And he's like, "Well, that's where my quirk is." And he's like, "What is your quirk?" It's like, "I have the ability to erase people's quirks." as long as I can see them. And I want you to be able to have an ability like that so that next time you're in a situation like this, you don't like irrationally use one of your destructive powers in that situation and ruin your chances of becoming a hero. Because it'll be super like bad for us heroes if we lose out on someone like you when you're older. And Izuku, he kind of weirded out by having to touch someone's eye, but he goes ahead and he touches Izawa's eye. Izawa puts some eye drops in after, and you know Izuku, he gets the quirk that he gets from that is called Erasure Field. So like he can erase the quirks of anyone within a 15-meter radius of him. So like he can erase multiple people as long as they're within a 15-meter radius. And yeah, so he goes home with his mom, and the next day he's like, "Mom, can we go? Can you take me somewhere where I can go practice my quirk and train? Because I want to be a hero, and just like that cool hero that was at the hospital, and just like All Might." And his mom remembers something from like a few years ago that she knew like one of a pro hero in like high school or something. Let's say she knew him from UA. She was in Gen Ed. Why not? And she take him to the pro hero backdraft because like let's say he went to UA in this timeline. I don't know if he did in canon or not, but it don't really matter because it's my story. And backdraft, he said like, "Hey Ingo, it's been a while. Like, how you been? Is this your son I've been seeing so much about on Facebook?" And like, she's like, "Yeah, he just manifested his quirk, and he really wants to be a hero when he grows up. I was wondering if you could do me a huge favor and like help train him." And he's like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, what's his quirk? I mean, that's kind of important information for this kind of thing." And then Izuku, like, he tells him, he's like, "My quirk's called Copycat. I can copy other people's quirks, but they change a little bit and they're a little bit stronger than what they were before." And backdraft, he just sitting there dumbfounded because he ain't never heard of a quirk that powerful. Like normally, copy quirks are some kind of temporary or they're just a weakened version of the original quirk. But like he's like, "Okay, kid, yeah, I could definitely help train him. Like he gonna become a good hero someday, and I'm gonna get all kinds of credit for this." Like he didn't say that part, but like he thought it. And backdraft, he has Izuku copy his quirk. The hydrokinesis. I don't actually know what it is called, but like I know he can manipulate water. And let's say quirk that Izuku gets from that would be like the ability to let's say he can just like let's say he gets like water laser or something like that. Yeah, I like that. It's basically like like a water jet, like the things they use to cut through metal and stuff. So like it's got so much pressure that it can clean stuff and it can like cut through surfaces and he can increase and decrease the pressure as he wishes. And Izuku, like he spent the next few years like training underneath backdraft. He meets a couple other heroes like once Kamui Woods makes his debut, like he like gets to shake Kamui Woods' hand, and Kamui Woods quirk, Arbor. Like he copied that, and basically what he gets is that he can like it's very similar to it, but he can manipulate like existing wood. Like he can't produce it and turn into it like Kamui can, but he like as long as there's wood nearby, he can manipulate and change its shape, kind of like it's a fluid, but like he can just harden it as he wishes. And Izuku's sitting there training like various rescue simulations. He's training like combat with Kamui. He learned some martial arts. Let's say he learned some like ninjutsu from Kamui Woods because like Kamui Woods, he like you just take one look at him and like he's a ninja fanboy. Like there's no other way he ain't a ninja fanboy. So Izuku's like, let's say he's like almost out of elementary school now, and he been avoiding Bakugo all this time, but like Bakugo just sitting there like he don't like all the attention Midori has been getting from pros because like he hears about it from his mom, and he's like, no way, I'm gonna let this idiot nerd get in my way. Like I'm so much better than him. It don't matter that like nothing matters. Like he got a stupid quirk. Like he sit there and steal things from other people. Like he ain't even using his own power. And Bakugo, he decides to be a wise guy and try and like jump Izuku after school using his quirk. And I'm gonna say along the line, uh, Izuku like honed his erasure quirk to where like he activates it on instinct the moment he like thinks someone's gonna try and attack him with a quirk. And so Bakugo tries to like come up and hit him in the back of the head with an explosion, and like all it does is like he smacks him in the back of the head. Deku, he just turn around, he grab the arm and he throw him over his shoulder like a judo flip, and like he just keep on going about his day. Bakugo's pissed, and he just lets that stew for a while though. Like he sits there, it's like, all right, he gotten a bit stronger. I see how it is. I can't let this stupid nerd get ahead of me. And he just like, so Bakugo, he started training like crazy as well. He goes to like some abandoned warehouses near his house, and like the woods, and he starts training his explosions where no one can hear the big noises. And he started getting pretty good, even though like they're still technically kids. But even kids can train and you get strong. And I'm gonna say that Bakugo gonna be like way stronger in this timeline as well. And I think I'm gonna leave it off about here maybe. Like Izuku still be doing all of his hero notebooks and stuff, and he's like way smarter than he is in canon because he's taken the advice from Aizawa to heart. Train your mind, your quirk, and your body like religiously, or else you aren't gonna cut it as a pro hero. So yeah, next time I'm probably gonna like start on my like this was like his origin story basically, and next time I'm gonna do like his middle school years and all the training and go through there, and it's probably gonna cover all the way through to some stuff at UA as well. So thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you all next time.